Hi all, Transit Diaries here. Hope all is well. Hope you're getting it well. Hope you had a good New Year Eve. Just a little brief message here for 2018. I guess in 2008, as a person on the right, what have we learned? What has happened? Well, I would say I think on the right we have definitely identified, and it has to be remembered that I'm 44, so I'd be a relatively granddad in the greater scale of things. I can remember a time, probably the closing years of the great Western Empire. That's probably, in truth, it is probably declining now. That's what we are witnessing, is the fall of Rome. The question is, what do we replace it with? What's going to happen? So, but I can remember a time when, loads of opportunities. We used to joke, for example, when I was young, well, if all else fails, you could get a job at McDonald's. Today, young people don't have that opportunity. There's a lot more competition for resources, for houses, for jobs. And even if you get those jobs, I mean, can you still fund your life? For young people, for millennials, I mean, just getting on the property ladder is really, unless you have parents that can pass down some capital. So I can assure you that wasn't the case when I was growing up. There was a lot more opportunities. You could actually save some money, to put a mortgage on a house or whatnot. So they really, for the want of a better word, millennials, and I believe this is only going to intensify, millennials and that generation onwards really have been dealt a shit sandwich. So I can understand why there's so much anger in the world today, because at the end of the day, there's no more hours in the day, and we're not getting any less human. And the lengths that people have to go to work to provide for themselves and keep some kind of dignity. And, I can forgive people if you're angry and frustrated and you feel hopeless, and, that's an appropriate reaction. That's a very human reaction. There's nothing wrong with you. That's completely natural, because you have been dealt quite a crushing blow from a generational standpoint, and it has led to tremendous, absolute mountains of nihilism on both the right and the left, I would say. The only difference being that the left uses nihilism almost as a motivation or something. For it's like it literally uses it as a tool to implement its policies, as an excuse, as a motivation to do it. Whereas the right see nihilism as defeatism, as something extremely negative. And I would, hence why I am so right wing orientated. The left will argue that self-criticism, it's a European tradition, and I would agree with that. However, when self-criticism leads you to stab yourself in the face indefinitely for no definable reason, well, that's not self-criticism. That's insanity. That's insanity. And it's immoral because it's unsustainable. And ultimately, that is the core of immorality. If it's not sustainable, if anything isn't sustainable, then it is immoral by definition. And nihilism is not sustainable. Any culture or race or country that consistently preaches nihilism and promotes nihilism is bound to be, it's over, it's finished. So nihilism is easily by far the biggest problem. So anyway, There is another issue too, that the right can be very nihilists, that we can believe that there's no hope in many times. So you may find it interesting to believe. Now, I just picked up this local newspaper in my local church, and it's unbelievable. I'm shocked. Because if the Pope is anything to go by, listening to his spiel, I mean, he comes across as a progressive to me. I mean, the kind of stuff he comes out with, I'm like, oh my God, is this where the Roman Catholic Church has gone like this? That even they don't stand up for their views. So what hope is there? And you're like, oh, I just want to go out into the middle of a field in a mud hut and just, anyway, which is nihilism, but anyway, so if this newspaper is anything to go by, I mean, good God, it's right wing. Every priest in Ireland must disagree with this guy, because, I mean, if I were to take off, the captions here of who printed this paper, it looks like the captions on some YouTube right-wing channel. I mean, this is the front page. Farage demands inquiry into Sorrow's grip on the European Union. Another caption. Catholic Church resented for defending reason. Here's a picture of Stephen Hawkins. Pro-choice advocates don't use reason, they demand. And, here we go. Tweet exposes fake news story in global media. I mean, it's the most right-wing kind of tabloid that I just couldn't get over it. And study. Contraceptive users more likely to commit suicide. Making criminals feel good about wrongdoing. This is exactly what the alt-right preaches, and to my understanding, the alt-right isn't Christian. That's not how I would describe it. And here we have something in common with these people. So I'm afraid it's not just the alt-right that sees this kind of stuff. Obviously, a lot of other people do also, but like us, that there's very real ramifications for them expressing that opinion. If a priest goes and preaches this stuff on Sunday, I mean, you tell me what's going to happen. We all know, especially us on the right, we all know this rubbish with free speech. Like, don't give me it's a joke. Free speech means you're a left wing. As long as you say, let's have peace and love and grand, you have free speech. But if you question immigration policies, you question whether displacing native populations, making them a minority within their own native country over the next, whether that's a good move, whether that be economically, socially, or culturally, if you even question that, your free speech doesn't apply to you. So, and obviously priests feel the same way. So what they can't vent on the public altar, they seem to write all these columns, in this local newspaper, and it claims to have 250,000 copies every month. This is their claims. So it's not just us. That's all I'm saying. And we have many people with similar views, maybe different religious backgrounds or whatever, but they can see the common sense in our argument. So I think it's time to feel a little heartened. I think that this is good news. I was encouraged when I saw this, that it done the exact opposite for me about that nihilism did. So I think this is what we need to focus on in 2018, is defeating or objecting our outright goals. If we can really clearly identify nihilism as the root of our issues here in Europe, then I think if we can achieve that in 2018, then we really have gone a long way, and we can focus on something else in the following year. But we really have to break this up into piecemeal. We can only do what we can with the time that is given to us. Even if we can only hold the fort, even if that's all we can do in 2018, hold the fort. That's all we have to do. And because I've no doubt to my mind, the way this will swing in the future, in the far future, the way this is going to go, there's a lot of talk about race and culture and all this, but ultimately I think what's going to decide the fate of this is, the biggest factor at least, is going to be net tax payers and net tax receivers. And the way I see things going is, net tax payers are all going to fall on the right, and net tax receivers are all going to fall on the left. And that's going to be the biggest issue that we confront. But anyway, hope you like that video, or dislike it. I don't really care. I'm just spouting out my views. So as a true European, I'm just giving you my views. Yeah. So anyway, hope everyone has a good year. See you later. Good luck.